Yo, what's happening? Welcome back to the Fantasy On Tap podcast. I'm your host, Eric Sonnier, with my boy, Blake Gambino. What's up, man? How you doing?
Ready to tap in. Let's get some draft strategies on the board.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Today, we're going to be talking about some draft strategies for your Redraft Fantasy Leagues. We got those drafts coming up in about a month or so. I think we have a draft actually coming up in exactly 1 month from today. It's not a Redraft League, so we won't talk about it. But before we get started, just wanted to let everybody know that they should become an all-access member of Fantasy Six Pack to get access to our award-winning rankings, our draft cheat sheets, the DFS projections, betting tools, and other great content. Best of all, you get access to the analysts directly on our Discord when you can get custom advice for your leagues. Go to fantasysixpack.net/plans and use the promo code F6PNFL to save 15% when you sign up today. We actually are running a league with 8 of us that are in the league, that are in the Fantasy Six Pack, including me and Blake here. And we're going to be looking for 4 fans to join the league with us. So if y'all are interested in that, go ahead and join that Discord, and maybe you can get in with us. 4 lucky guys are going to get to compete against us. So, before we get started,
that's a money league too, right? Like, that's not just for fun.
I think so, yeah.
$20 entry or something. So, like, one of you lucky viewers out there could beat the experts, if we can call ourselves that.
Yeah, and, right.
Have some bragging rights, So
you
get out there and try to join that Discord.
Try to use one of our strategies against us. I mean, we're talking about redraft today, so. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and start off with like what actually is a redraft league. A redraft league is just a basic league. It's just a league that they start off at the beginning of the year. They have a full-on draft. There's no keepers. There's no dynasty. You don't have to worry about anything like that. You just play to win that year. So you just start at the beginning with a blank roster and you draft. And then the next year, when you redraft, that's why it's called a redraft league. So are you in any of those leagues this year?
Am I in any redraft leagues this year?
I guess besides the one that we're going to do with the Fantasy Six Pack, that's the only one I can think of right now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely tried to. I know one of the guys on our Discord was talking. I mean, on the Slack was talking about how he's in 19 leagues or something. Like, I definitely used to be like that, like 5 or 10 years ago. But you just start getting pulled in every direction. Like, I need Julio Jones to get 11 yards, but if he gets 12, I lose in this other league, and it's really just too much. If you're that dedicated and you can keep a lot of your teams the same, then I think you can have a lot of teams. But it's just so hard with redraft and keepers and dynasties. It's so hard to get the exact same players on all your teams that no, I'm definitely sticking with 2 or 3 leagues and only one redraft, like you said, the one league we're going to be in with hopefully a couple of fans, a couple of viewers.
Yeah, I think I was in 1 year. I was in I want to say 8, and it was just, that was too much for me. I was just getting stretched, like you said, stretched thin. It kind of gets to the point where it's just man, I kind of don't want I want this to end. I kind of want to enjoy fantasy football again. So I'm going to stick to I think I'm in 4 right now. I might join 1 or 2 more. So that'll be the max. And that's just because I'm counting the Scott Fishbowl one. Then it doesn't even cost any money. So,
right.
So it's just with different formats nowadays and all that, it's just best to just limit it. But I mean, if you're one of those guys that want to do 20 leagues, I mean, go for it. If you're good like
20
that,
free leagues is probably cool, but when you start having money on, you're gonna start leaning towards. I got one league that's $250 to get in, so I'm always gonna want my players in that league to do the best. Mm-hmm. But I might be playing guys that are on my team in that league in another league that's for $20. So it's I'm like, I can lose a week that week because I want to win in this league. So you kind of just start betting against yourself a lot of the time, especially if there's money on the line. So if you're running free leagues, then have as many leagues as you want. Just do it for fun. But it would really add to the pot is having all the money. So.
Yeah, because once you start getting up there in leagues, there's just no way you're gonna be able to start combining teams to where all your players on the same team, on different leagues. It's just impossible to do that. And even if you do that, what happens if that one dude gets hurt? Then now you're losing in 20 leagues instead of just 1. So it's almost kind of better to strategize it out where you have different players on different teams. But and that's kind of what we're going to talk about here. We're kind of going to talk about some different strategies that you can use it on all your 20 leagues or all your 5 leagues, whatever you want to do. There's just different ways to go about it. My main league, the way I usually do it is I go heavy running back. It just usually works for me. But what I mean by that is I'm always going to start off in the first round with a running back. And usually in the second round, I'm probably going to stick with that running back too, just in case, unless a Tyreek Hill, a Jay Jettas gets out of the first round, which isn't going to happen usually. So I'm gonna go double running back because I think that the value of the receivers later on is going to be pretty good compared to the value of running backs that are going to be there later on. So I like to stick with that heavy running back approach. Just even in the third round, I'll go running back, and then worry about the other positions later. Excuse me. Quarterback, like in that when I do the heavy running back, I kind of punt on quarterback and tight end. I wouldn't say stream. I kind of just like get a main guy because I don't think like unless you're going Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and all of them in the first few rounds, all those quarterbacks after that are going to be pretty similar in points scored. So at that point, it's almost better to stream quarterbacks if you can't get one of those top guys, especially when you're going, like I said, the heavy running backs, and then just get some maybe get a good wide receiver 1 and then go wide receiver 2. And then, punt on tight end, stream that, and along with defense and kicker if you do that. Have you ever tried heavy running back, or what do you think about that?
No, I mean, I think I lean towards you. I think a lot of it can go to where you're drafting, So heavy running back is really good when you're kind of towards the back of the round because you can kind of get 2 picks in a row. So if you're at 11 or 12, I think last year I was at 11 or 12, and I went Saquon Barkley round 1, and then I went Nick Chubb in round 2, I think. So I was kind of able to I was more heavy running back. If I was in the front of the round, I could maybe pick Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, and that would be more of your hero running back strategy, where you just get one stud running back, and then you kind of just get RB2s and try to go for a good quarterback and good running backs. I've been seeing a lot of people employ hero running back lately. Even in your Scott Fish Bowl, I've been seeing some guys who like their starting running back is like the only literal starter. Like everybody else is like second and third string guys. So I definitely think that's one way. Hero running back's a pretty popular strategy. But that's kind of how I do it. When I have done a hero running back, like one season, I had AP the season he had like 2,000 yards rushing. And, I'm sure I had another running back here or there, but, I mean, he was my guy. He was getting me like 35, 40 points a week, and that was really what was making me win that year, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Last year when you said you got Chubb and, what's his name, Saquon, I had the 2 pick, and then I traded for, I think, for like the 6th or 7th pick. So I got I went McCaffrey and Henry, and, I mean, I made it pretty far. But I don't even remember if I had wide receiver keepers or not. But yeah, I think it's just the value of going running back high because like there's only a few of those running backs that are gonna for sure score like 20 to 30 points a game. McCaffrey, Derrick Henry usually lately, Alvin Kamara when he's healthy. Hopefully Bijan because I got him. They're gonna be those guys that are gonna score all those points. But like guys like that you're gonna get in the later round, in the 5th and 6th round. They're going to be good, but like I don't think they're going to be as good as them. Whereas the receivers that you're going to get in the first round are going to have off games. You know what I mean? Like the receivers aren't always going to get their carries. I mean, get their touches. I mean, even Jamar Chase, he'll have a game where he only has like 2 or 3 catches, right? I mean, they have a lot of receivers over there, so it just doesn't make sense for me to go receivers that early. But which brings us to our next strategy that we could talk about is that zero running back strategy. I have never successfully tried this in a league. I've tried. I've tried to like start doing it, and then I just look at it in the 3rd round and be like, "Ew," you know what I mean? Like, you look at this running back, and it's like I can't do it. I just like it's just so drained in my brain that I need running backs. And I just like I let it go. So like I'm talking about like these dudes will go like wide receiver in the 1st round or tight end, Kelsey in the 1st round, and then they'll just like punt on running back until like round 7 or 8. I'm just like, dude. And then, like, I think last year, though, that strategy really worked pretty well for people. Like, people were drafting, like, Ramondre Stevenson and who else went over there late that was pretty good? I can't even think off the top of my head right now. But, yeah, guys like
maybe
that.
Maybe like your Khalil Herbert or Montgomery, guys like
Miles
that.
Sanders.
Yeah.
People like that. They went those guys late, which they ended up working. But I just don't think that strategy is always going to work. But, hey, if you can place it out there where you're going to draft that quarterback and that you're going to draft Mahomes early, you're going to draft Kelsey early, and you're going to draft those receivers early, and you can get those stud running backs later. I mean, good, more power to you.
I feel like for zero running back, you really it can be skillful, but you really have to get lucky. So I know one year I did a version of zero running back, and my starting running back. Now this is way back when he was on the Buccaneers. Was he on the Buccaneers? I think he was. LeGarrette Blount was on the Buccaneers like way back. It was like 08 probably, or 09 maybe. So, I got lucky with getting him like way late, like in the 10th round or something, and he just happened to like turn into like a top 5 running back. So, you kind of have to get lucky. I mean, that was my strategy because I might have been keeping like, I think I was keeping like, who was that big guy that used to play for the Giants? Jacobs or something? I forget his first name.
Was it Brian Jacobs?
Was it? I don't know, but he was huge. He was like 6'3". Yeah. He trucked
Brandon Jacobs. Brandon
Jacobs. Right. Yeah. So I had him, I think, as a keeper. And so I guess that's not technically zero running back, but I didn't draft him. He was just already on my team. So then I didn't draft a running back until literally like round 8 or 9, where I think I got Blunt. So like I'm saying, for zero running back, it is iffy. But if you've got a guy, like say you like Rachaad White, who a guy that me and Eric have, me more have said that we don't like, or that I don't like. If you really feel strongly, maybe you're a Buccaneers fan, and you feel strongly that no one's going to draft that guy and he can be a number 1 style or number 1 RB1, then, draft 8 other dudes at other positions, and then in round 9, he'll probably be there, and now that's Houston Floyd's zero running back. Another thing I wanted to say real quick before we move on, I would use, maybe since we were talking about multiple leagues, use your free leagues to employ these newer strategies just to give them a try. Zero running back, zero wide receiver, hero running back, even drafting the tight end in the first round. We don't have that one listed. Well, we do have hero tight end coming up, I guess, but draft Kelsey at 1-3. And if it's a free league, if you're not losing any money, give it a shot. I mean, the guy's a stud anyway. And especially if you're in a tight end premium league, like I think that'd be a dope idea. So.
I think actually in this, now that I'm looking at it, because we're going to talk about it later with my Scott Fishbowl team. I kind of did the zero running back strategy, but not actually 100% did it, like a 90% did it, because I went Justin Herbert, but then I picked Bijan. But then after that, I kind of just went straight receiver. Because that's just how the board fell. But I don't know if my team looks bad, actually. Now that we'll talk more about it later. But, I got that in the 7th round is when I drafted my second running back, and that is just foreign to me. I always have a list of running backs, but I was like looking at these receivers, and I was like, dude, am I going to pass on Diggs, Olave, and then I'm going to pass on DeVonta Smith, who are all going to be like top 10 in my opinion? So it's just like, why would I do that? So it's just like these strategies are all cool and all. It's really how the board falls to you. And really what you feel comfortable doing. And it's really about the pick you have too. Like that's really important. Pick 11, pick 12, it could be a way that you do go receiver early, because, you're going to get that Tyreek Hill guy. You're definitely going to get Devontae Adams. I don't know if you'll get Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson anymore at this point, but that last year you could have. So it's just really just how your draft board falls to you. So just keep that in mind as well while you're watching these. I think I'm going to skip the zero wide receiver, because I think that's just kind of like redundant, because we just kind of talked about zero running back. So just be like, it's just the opposite. You just, you don't pick any receivers. It's kind of what I do. I think zero receivers. So,
I think what I should have done too when I was writing out my tickers at the bottom is I put hero running back with heavy running back, but I think zero running back and hero running back are kind of more similar, because you kind of did hero running back on your Scott Fish, where you took like Bijan. You're thinking he's going to be a top 3 running back, hopefully, right? So then you're like, all right, that guy's going to fill up our running back position. And then you were able to get Javonte Williams and Alvin Kamara, 2 guys who split carries, but could have potential to do well. Like both athletically and like as players, they're great players. So they could have potential to be RB2 plus, maybe RB1, depending on their workload, So I think hero running back and zero running back kind of go similar. So we can say the same thing quickly with zero running back, zero wide receiver. Hero running back and zero wide receiver. If you maybe draft just Tyreek Hill and then you don't draft another wide receiver till round 9 or 10, that would be more of a hero running back. Wide receiver strategy. Which as long as you're getting a good QB and a good tight end, those strategies can really work. Don't be drafting a kicker or defense in your early rounds. Like definitely, I think one thing we want to say too is, like me and Eric both kind of draft in a similar way. We let the draft come to us. He might try to make a few more trades, but I'm really trying to see, once you know your league mates too, you kind of know where they're going to go. I'm letting the draft come to me, and at the same time, if you're doing your research, you're watching our pods, and you're also paying attention to stats and from last year and stuff, you can really make solid picks that other guys might not make. Like I'm pretty sure I got Cam Newton one year and this kind of goes more toward like our hero quarterback strategy. I got Cam Newton one year when I'm in a Saints heavy league, so no one likes Cam. No one wants to draft Cam Newton, but their defense got better that year, and they were looking like they were going to be pretty good. So I drafted Cam Newton in maybe like the 8th round or something. It might have been even later. I wish I could. It would take me too long to go back and look, but it might have been even later. And he ended up being the MVP of the league, which might go to one of our strategies later on too. So if you're getting a guy like that who isn't, you got to pay attention to your league mates, I think too, right? I mean, you're drafting with people you know what team they like, what players they like, what players they hate, what players are going to avoid. No one was going to draft Cam Newton like early, so I knew I could wait on him, and that kind of raised his value. I was able to get the MVP of the league in like 8th, 9th, 10th round. And that kind of set up the rest of my team, So what do you think about hero quarterback or streaming weekly on a quarterback?
So yeah, like I kind of like even want to like say a name before we talk about that, like of what you just said, like that's a strategy, you know what I mean? Like letting the draft fall to you, letting the draft, drafting off of how everybody else drafts. It's kind of like you said, that's how we draft. Like we pay attention to other people. You find your guys that you like, right? But I've seen like people that run these strategies, the 0 running back, 0 receiver. They actually like write out who they're going to pick in each round, like what position, the player, you know what I mean? Like they'll be I'm taking the running back, whoever it is, best available, and then I'm going to go receiver this round. I've never done that. Like you said, I kind of let the draft fall to me and then see how that goes and then draft from there. But I also think that's why we're pretty good at fantasy football, and that's why we win. It's because like you don't have a set strategy. We kind of just draft who we like. I mean, and that it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it does, but and then on the off chance that it doesn't, that's when I start trading. So,
right.
I mean, you're never going to be 100% right all the time, and there's going to be injuries. But as long as you stick to like your guns and you stick to who you like, and you don't listen to all these rankings and all that good stuff all the time, don't be a slave to the rankings. The rankings are great. They're good and they help, but like sometimes they really can cripple you. Because I mean, some people would be like, "Who do I start? This person, this person." Well, Matt Berry tells me to start this guy, and this person tells me to start this guy. Well, and dude, stick to who you know. I think we know a couple people that are like that. They're like, "Oh,
right.
well,
I was actually just gonna say too, like, I could have wrote this down as a strategy, but something I actually used to do back in the day was I would just like literally do the opposite of what Matt Berry was saying, and it was working for a few years. Like, I mean, he would have guys I would draft in the first round at like, spot 10 or something, like in their position. And I would draft them in the first round and they would just blow up, So it is funny that you say that. The pundits are doing a lot of what we're doing out here too. I mean, it's guesswork, but you kind of have to go with your gut. And it goes along with watching football. Like, I don't really think you can be the greatest fantasy player by just looking at the stats.
Yeah.
There's different sabermetrics and stuff. Like, you really should be putting your eyes on players, seeing how many touches they get a week, what their role is in the offense.
Really watch.
I think that's one of the reasons.
Preseason games are great for fantasy because they play those backups.
For finding sleepers, especially.
Right. They play those backups. Those starters are going to be out immediately. They play their backups. They're trying to see who's going to come in and take over when that starter gets hurt. They're going to play their rookie receivers. They're going to play their wide receiver 2s as their wide receiver 1s because they're trying to find out. So like Dak, when he came out, he was like the 5th round pick or something. Nobody really liked him, but guess what? He blew up in preseason. Cooper Kupp, he was just okay, but he blew up in the preseason. All of a sudden, people are drafting him. I've drafted Cooper Kupp his rookie year in our big league in like the 15th round. You know what I mean? Like, that's just ridiculous. And after that, he just blew up. So really just kind of just do your thing, man. Watch football. Don't look at the analytics, stats, and all this good stuff, because that doesn't take into account into like the actual skills of the players. It doesn't take into account who they played or how many snaps they played. It's just what they did on that snap that they were on the field. So like, just really put your eyes on these people, and stick to
your own scout.
Yeah,
you're scouting for your team. You're the GM, the scout, and the owner. So don't forget about scouting. Don't let some other team or other guy. Don't let just us scout for you. Take what we say and then apply that to what you think you know about football, or even what you like. If you're gonna go hero running back or 0 running back, like, don't pick running backs on teams that you're not going to want to watch. That's like one of the main reasons I've said I don't want to draft Rachaad White. I don't want to watch the Bucs this year, so I'm going to try to avoid drafting running backs. But kind of like what you did we'll get to this later too, on your Scott Fish, you ended up drafting Mike Evans. Spoiler alert, but you got really great value on Mike Evans. So am I going to draft Rachaad White eventually if he's there in like the 14th round? Well, heck yeah. But I'm not going to make him my RB2 because I don't want to have to start him weekly and then go check in. What are the Bucs doing? Oh, Baker Mayfield 3 and out.
Right.
So that's kind of a strategy I like to do too. Is like, what teams do I want to pay attention to? I want to watch the Bengals, so I'm drafting some Bengals. You know what I'm saying? I want to watch the Saints. I'm drafting a Saints player. Things like that. You know, like
just have fun with it.
I drafted Mahomes last year because I knew I wanted to watch Mahomes ball out. You know, so.
Just have fun with it. That's really what you got to do. Is just have fun. You know, like you said, draft people that you want to watch on TV. Because guess what? Ain't nobody gonna want to watch the Bucs this year, like you said. But guess what? Mike Evans in that late is fine. But like, who wants to watch? Like you said, who's gonna go away and be like, you're gonna go check the stats? It's fine. But like, on Sunday night when you have a player, you have one player left, and the other team has nobody, and you need like 15 points, and you got Chris Olave going against somebody, and on a Sunday night you're just like, man, I'm hyped. I get to watch this dude. He's a beast. I know he's gonna be on the field the whole time. It's just fun. It makes it way more enjoyable. But, you know, we can go on a tangent like it all day. Let's go back to what we were talking about. We're going to talk about quarterbacks and fantasy in the redraft fantasy football pot. So my strategy for drafting quarterbacks, you could, like you said, a hero quarterback would be you take that guy early, that Patrick Mahomes, you take that Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen or whatever it is. My strategy up until last year has always been, actually up until this year, has always been quarterbacks don't matter. Quarterbacks don't matter because I'd rather take that stud running back in the first round or the second round or the third round instead of taking, you know, a quarterback there and then having a hurt at the running back position. But last year, quarterback crippled me in almost every league. It hurt me bad because I chose Russell Wilson in a couple leagues. That sucked.
That was tough, yeah.
It sucked. I can't remember who I had in another league, but it just didn't work out for me. I think it was Russell Wilson. Really, was the one that I really hate that guy right now.
For sure, I remember that. Yeah.
I'm a big future fan now. So like I just I just hate Russell Wilson now because of last year. But like, you know, I mean, now it's just like now I'm gonna just take a more conservative approach to it. What I'm thinking is I'll probably take one around the 5th or 6th round now. I'll probably get those good starting running backs, good starting receivers, and then take, you know, at least a top 10 guy because, like I said, I was texting everybody trying to trade for a quarterback, including Blake. He was trying to have my firstborn child's first name for Derek Carr, who wasn't even that good last year.
Naming rights, baby.
Yeah. And I was just like, bro, come on, like help a brother out. And then I got Tua, and that ended up working out for me. But anyway, quarterbacks, if you're not getting that, like I said, those top 4 guys, you know, you can wait till at the 5th or 6th round. But after that, then you want to start thinking about that streaming option. You know, like after you can't get one of those top 10 guys, you kind of just want to stream quarterbacks every week. Just whoever you think is going to have a good, you know, you look at the matchup, who they're playing. They're playing the Jags. You know, you might probably want to start a quarterback against them. They're playing the Panthers. You probably want to start a quarterback against them. So, you know, just kind of look into that and build your strategy from there.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll say, too, for the streaming aspect of it, like you're saying about looking up at matchups, too, but don't just look at – a lot of people just say, oh, well, of the guys who are available, oh, well, this team's good. They're going to win. But a lot of times for fantasy aspects, too, it's not bad to pick a team that's going to get their butt kicked because they're going to be throwing even more. So if you're in a league that offers points for pass attempts and completions and things like that, like you could pick up a guy who's going to be a stud just that week based on those stats. Another thing I kind of want to mention here too is I feel like I might have invented hero quarterbacks. My very first year in fantasy, I think I was 12 years old. I was in the big money league. I took over for my grandpa. He had cancer and he was, you know, basically on hospice. He was in my dad's league, and so he wasn't going to be able to run the team. So he paid for the league that year, but then I got to run it. And so I still remember to this day, and I actually made a mess up, but to this day, I still remember I had picked 12. I drafted Willis McGahee, which back then was a good pick, in round 1. Round 2, at 13, I drafted Tom Brady. Now, this is the year Tom Brady threw for 50 touchdowns. And everyone, when I picked Tom Brady, they laughed and they said, oh, this is great. The 12-year-old's in here picking a quarterback in round 2. And guess what? I got all the way, ended up getting second place in that league. I think my 3rd round pick was Maurice Jones-Drew, and my 4th round pick was Greg Jennings. So, I mean, I had a solid team, but I think I kind of invented, because after that year, the next year, one of the guys in the league drafted Drew Brees in the 1st round. And so I kind of like started that trend of like, look, if guys are going to be throwing for 40 touchdowns a year, you know, Tom Brady got Randy Moss that year. So like, that was kind of my thing. Looking back, I was like, why didn't I pick Randy Moss? He's like one of my favorite players. I should have just went Randy Moss, Tom Brady. But I looked at it as Tom Brady's going to be throwing the touchdowns to Randy Moss, so I'll just pick Tom Brady. But I should have just not picked Willis McGahee, or probably, you know, and picked Randy Moss and then Tom Brady. So you can kind of look towards those things. Who picked up a new good wide receiver? Maybe you're looking at, Tannehill got DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, he's no Randy Moss, but maybe you're like, all right, I can get Tannehill for 17, and if he's not hurt, then maybe he's going to be a good streaming quarterback for you weekly, and then just get another guy that you can kind of go between those two. That's kind of a strategy that I've employed before. Last year I had Mahomes, and he carried my team, because I didn't end up drafting running back too well maybe last year. So I think that's something you can do. If you're having a stud quarterback or a stud tight end, we can move on to hero tight end. If you're having those players, they can really carry your team. If you're getting you're having Mahomes, the Eagles quarterback, Joe Burrow, or maybe Josh Allen. Those guys are your floor for the week is like 35, 40 points, and then other than in our league, a lot of scoring is like in the hundreds. Our league gets into the 200s and stuff because we have a lot of different scorings. But, most people, I remember back in the day, like if you scored over 100, that was huge. That's why I started winning so much in that year with Tom Brady, because he was throwing for 6 touchdowns. He was getting 60 points a week. The rest of my team didn't even need to be good, So that was one of the ways you could play back then for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so you kind of brought it up, but the tight end approach is kind of different for everybody. But my strategy is if you can't get Kelsey, which you're not going to unless you draft him in the first round, he's really the only hero tight end I would really draft in that first round, then it doesn't really matter to me. Besides Mark Andrews, I mean, he wasn't even that great last year. I mean, you got George Kittle, Kyle Pitts, Darren Waller, Evan Ingram, and Goddard. Those are all pretty similar guys. So, in my opinion, tight end really doesn't matter that much unless you're getting that guy. You're getting that guy Kelsey. I mean, because that dude's basically a receiver. I mean, he catches. He's the number one receiver for Patrick Mahomes. That's the only reason he's as good as he is. So, in my opinion, I punt tight ends. I don't really care about tight ends. It's not something that really is going to matter because that second tight end, whoever it's going to be, and that seventh tight end, eighth tight end, probably not going to be that big a difference in numbers.
I'm right there with you. Last year, I think I've probably mentioned this 5 different times now, but I streamed tight end last year, and I mainly stuck with the Saints tight end, Javonte Williams, but I was also using, I can't remember now who I was using. Can't remember who streamer, I was cutting dudes and picking guys up weekly, so I can't remember, but I do remember keeping specifically Quentin Johnston just because he was getting a lot of red zone targets. If you're going to stream a player like that too, you should really look for guys like that, especially because tight end, if you're, like we're saying, if you're not getting Kelsey, then, you can really look to getting 12 points from your tight end is probably really good. Yeah, so just look for guys, 1 touchdown is 6 points already. Well,
your tight end can get you a few catches, even 1 touchdown. Like you said, that's a touchdown, 7-8 points. I'm good with that. You know what I mean? Like that worked for me. So as long as you get somebody that gets some points, that's all you really need. You don't want to get those goose eggs. So I guess I guess it's not really a punt position, but it's just like don't really put too much thought into it if you can't get that top guy. But this is the last strategy that we're going to talk about. I don't really know if it's an actual strategy, but since it's Blake's, I'm going to let him talk about it. It's the MVP strategy. So why don't you go ahead and explain what that is?
All right. Well, it's tough. It's one that's really more luck based. But I will say, in years that I've won or been in the top, I definitely had the MVP of the league on my team. 1 year, like I mentioned, that was Tom Brady. Another year, that was AP when he rushed for 2,000 yards. Another year, it was Aaron Rodgers. Another year it was LaShawn McCoy. Like, he had a great rushing year. I don't think he was the MVP. He obviously wasn't the MVP, but he was definitely in the MVP ceiling. People who get voted, the top 5 people get voted on. I think he was 5 that year or something. So the way I kind of do it. Cam Newton was the other guy I had who was MVP, and I won that year too. So the one way I kind of employ this strategy is looking at who was voted in as MVP last year. And so for this year, that would obviously be your Mahomes characters. Joe Burrow, I would probably say too, but also the Eagles quarterback. I don't know why I can't remember his name.
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. So he was definitely top 2 or 3 this year in MVP. So just try to target those. I mean, those are obviously guys that are already targeted. But when you're getting a guy who's the MVP, most of the time it's a quarterback in our league, in the NFL. But if you're looking at a guy who's going to be getting the majority of the playing time or snaps or things like that. That's kind of how I like to look at it. I kind of snuck this one in there on Eric just because the years I've won, I've had the MVP on my team, and it ended up being lucky. Like last year, I had Mahomes; he was MVP. I didn't win, which but he carried. Like if I just would have had one or two better draft picks, then I easily would have won the league last year. So I definitely think MVP is a strategy. Go for your Mahomes. I got Mahomes in the 6th round last year. People were shorting him because he lost Tyreek Hill. That's another way I think we should talk about too. I don't have it. If you just want to talk about MVP real quick, but I just wanted to say one other thing is, let your draft mates make the mistakes. Let your guy. One year I drafted Matt Forte. I had the 2nd pick. It was Matt Forte's 2nd year, I think. He's from Louisiana. He went to the school down the street from my house right now, the high school. And I'm like, I'm gonna draft Matt Forte. Like this is gonna be awesome. Drafted Matt Forte. He had like just a generic year, 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns or something. 70 catches. But I was really high on him that year, and I made that mistake. I didn't have to draft Matt Forte at 2. I could have got him. I could have traded back and probably got Matt Forte at like 11 because no one was going to draft him. I had an old Bears shirt. I spray painted 22 on it and spray painted Forte. And like I walked out when I was drafting him and I was like, what's up? And I was trying to make a show of it. I was trying to have fun in the league, but I made a mistake that year when I could have traded back to get Matt Forte. So one other strategy I would say is, let your guys make the mistakes. Don't overdraft a guy for hype. Things like that. Don't draft Kelsey at 1-1. You can, if you have 1-1, move back to like 1-7. You can get Kelsey at 1-7. You can gain some draft capital. Yeah, and you can gain some draft capital while moving back. Hopefully, if your league lets you trade. So that's one thing else I wanted to say is let your draft mates make the mistakes.
Yeah, I drafted Bishop Sankey in the 3rd round one year, so that was. I don't think he even played.
I remember that. I do remember
he even
that.
played. That was super tough. It's so hard to like just see. Like you pick a guy, and one of the guys in the league were like, "Is he even the starter right now?" I'm just like, I thought he was, and then I'm pretty sure he didn't play the rest of the years. I mean, he might have played a couple snaps, but it wasn't much. But
Trent Richardson, he got drafted one year too. I think in the 1st round in our league because he was projected to get 300, 400 carries.
I think he was.
And then I think halfway through the season, he got traded to the Colts or to the Browns or
like a 1st round pick.
Yeah, so it was just like, wow, like you crapped the bet on that one, So don't let your guys make the mistake. I'm not saying play conservatively, but you don't need to pick Joe Burrow in round 1. If you really, really want Joe Burrow, you can probably get him in 2 or 3, which it wouldn't be too crazy. But if you're drafting him in round 1, you're kind of handicapping yourself for the rest of the draft when you could have drafted a stutter running back or wide receiver or even Kelsey, So
right. But yeah, so that's kind of our strategies just for the redraft leagues. Like I said, these are just opinions. These are just strategies that we like to deploy. That's all we're really here for. Just kind of like, make your life easier. If you're watching these, you're probably pretty good at fantasy to begin with. So, just take that with a grain of salt. To close, we're going to go ahead and talk about what we talked about last time. We're going to, bring back that Scott Fishbowl League, my team that we had. We kind of already talked about my first 7 picks, which was Justin Herbert, Bijan Robinson, Stefon Diggs, Chris Olave, DeVonta Smith, Matt Stafford, Javonte Williams. And then we were, debating in that last episode between Javonte Williams and Alvin Kamara. But guess what? My boy fell to the next pick, so I ended up getting him anyway. Got Alvin Kamara. Then I went, thought it was a steal. I got Mike Evans pretty late in the 9th. Got my first tight end, like we were talking about earlier, in Dalton Kincaid. I think he's going to have a pretty good year, so it was good to get him kind of late. I got that hookup with Justin Herbert to Quentin Johnston next. Let's see. Got Jerick McKinnon in the 12th with some Isaiah Pacheco news of him going on the PUP or something, right? So it's kind of probably going to be pretty good. I think Jerick McKinnon had a pretty good year at the end of the year last year. Then I went, another rookie tight end. I got Sam Laporta. A lot of hype out of him, in the Lions room over there. He's looking like the only tight end over there, and Jared Goff likes to chunk it. So then I got D'onta Foreman, who's going to be, he was pretty good to start when Christian McCaffrey left last year. So hopefully he can pick that up with the Bears. 15th, I got Adam Thielen. I think Adam Thielen's got some juice left in the tank, right? It just was probably just behind Jefferson last year. Followed it up with Leonard Fournette. He's not on the team yet, but hopefully he's gonna be. So I think he'll probably be pretty good wherever he goes. I got Tim Patrick. He's looking pretty good already too. I heard some camp reports that he's been balling over there. We got Clyde-Edwards Helaire. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't know what to say about it. I got John Mechie. Right. I got John Mechie to the 19th and the 20th. I mean, I saw him in Alabama. He was a beast, so hopefully he can come back from cancer and be pretty good. Then I got Logan Thomas on the 21st. I actually haven't made my very last pick yet. That should be coming up soon. Let me look right here just to be sure. Some guy.
I gotta say too, I've seen a lot of people hashtag SFB13, sharing their teams on Twitter. Like my For You page is kind of, I guess I've looked at enough Scott Fishbowl teams that like now even people I don't follow are getting punted to me. And dude, I gotta say, like, you have one of the best teams I've seen. Maybe lighter on tight end, and you kind of went a 0 tight end route, which is a tight end premium. So we'll see how that works out for you. But I do like the rookie tight ends you picked up. But dude, you've got a good. Like I've seen some guys' teams. I've shared even a couple with you. Some guys' teams are like the one guy drafted Aaron Rodgers in the first round, and then he stacked the next player. Like he got Williams. Not Williams. Wilson.
Watson?
No, he got.
Oh,
Wilson.
he's on the Jets side. What am I talking about?
Yeah, right. He got Wilson on his next pick, and then it's just like, and that's why we're saying like, don't make mistakes, but let the mistakes come. Let the other guys make mistakes, because he drafted that and then wanted to stack him with Wilson, and then for the rest of his draft, dude, I mean, just RB3s and wide receiver 4s as starters. Like your wide receiver 1 should not be a wide receiver 4. And that's how this guy's team is looking.
It's just like there's so many different strategies in this league. I've seen I've seen some guy's team where he drafted tight end every first 5 picks, like all 5 picks.
I did see that guy.
It was like Kelsey,
and his team was better than that other guy's team. Honestly, it's just really different strategies. I kind of just in this one I kind of just let the best player fall to me. Last year I wasn't as good because I had a few injuries, but I also kind of just went after the guys that I liked. But like seeing this one, I was gonna, do my normal strategy, Justin Herbert, Bijan, because it's a super flex league with quarterback. So I was gonna actually pick a quarterback in the 3rd, but then like there was like a huge run, and I was just like, bro, I'm not picking one of these bums in the 3rd. So I was like, Diggs is right here. Why don't we just grab him? And then I got to the next pick, and I was just like, I could have picked Derek Carr, but I was like, maybe he'll fall to me at the 5th. So I took Chris Olave, and I was just like, bro, my wide receiver 2 is a wide receiver 1. So like, I'm pretty happy with that. And then I got DeVonta Smith, and I was like, he's a wide receiver 1 too. I mean, he's not on his team. He's not a wide receiver 1, but I think he was like wide receiver 10 last year or something like that, maybe 8. Right.
So I mean, he's a top 10 receiver. He's a wide receiver 1 for fantasy. So I mean, like I said, just let the draft fall to you guys. If you like my team, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. I'll tell you what that 22.9 is the next time we come out here. Other than that, you got anything else?
I'm not sure. I mean, we're definitely gonna get offline and talk about our next few. I think we'll still probably record one next week, because I'm not going out of town until Wednesday. So if we record Tuesday, we'll be good. But I'm gonna be out of town for a week, going to Hawaii, baby. So so I'm gonna be out there. Not really gonna be able to record. But if y'all hit us up in the Discord, like we're active in the Discord. And you can even ask us questions in there if you jump in. Maybe you're drafting this week. I mean, some people draft early. I mean, one thing I would say is don't draft this early, because injuries and a lot of things can happen. I mean, I know like guys that drafted DeAndre Hopkins early in the Scott Fishbowl leagues, and then he went to the Titans. So it's like, maybe you thought he was going to the Patriots or something, and then he went to the Titans, So I would say definitely try to draft later. I think the league we were mentioning for y'all that y'all could join, they're talking about drafting September 5th, which is the latest I would have ever drafted. But I'm interested to do that, because you're going to get rid of all preseason injuries. Leonard Fournette and Ezekiel Elliott might be signed by then, So I'm kind of interested to draft that late. I haven't ever drafted in September before, I don't think. So
season's a good pushback. So
if you can talk to your commissioner, don't draft in July. Don't draft in early August. Draft late August, early September. So that's kind of the last advice I would say. Oh, I wanted to say this and I forgot. Real quick. So one strategy we didn't mention is stacking. And I think that's something that's also worked for me well too. If you're going to get Mahomes, if you draft Kelsey and then you get Mahomes, you're doubling up those points. That's something I've always liked to do. I also like to stack my kicker with my quarterback. That's something that's worked well for me. If you got Kelsey, Mahomes, and then the kicker, when Mahomes throws a touchdown to Kelsey, you're getting double the points, and then the kicker is going to kick the PAT. And if they don't happen to score on that drive, the kicker kicks the field goal, and you're still getting points. So the one we should have definitely mentioned is stacking players on the same team. Some call that stacking, handcuffing. I like stacking. That's kind of what brought that to my attention was that guy picking Rodgers round 1 and then stacking immediately with Wilson. And it's like, yeah, that's nice, but now you have like you're just immediately handcuffed. Like Rodgers gets injured a lot. A lot of people are picking the Jets to be great, but that seems like a risky stack in my eyes. So I would stack more on your studs. Get Josh Allen and then get Stefon Diggs. Those kind of stacks, So that's kind of, or even a running back stack too. If you're gonna get Joe Burrow and you can't get Higgins or Jamar Chase, pick up Joe Mixon late. He's sliding on boards. Now when Joe Mixon catches a touchdown, you're getting double the points. So that's one thing we should have mentioned with the stacking strategy and redraft.
Yeah, absolutely. Good advice. Hand it. All right, y'all. One last time, join the Fantasy Six Pack. Be our friends. Like our videos. Post some comments. Go and join. You get to use that Pro F6P NFL to save 15%. Come talk to us. We'll be around all week. We'll be around all year. We'll be having pods. It's time to tap out. See ya.
Like and subscribe. Time to tap out.